Hello everyone, it is Dave and Wemi here. It's been a very long time since we have been on camera together.
I didn't have a beard the last time.
I did not have a beard the last time. We're trying something new. But welcome to everyone who's new to our channel. This is Moments of Love. I'm Wemi.
I'm Dave.
He is Dave. And together we have a handsome little boy named Elia who is 3 years old, which is crazy. Time
Almost
flies.
4.
Almost 4 in like a month and a half. He is counting down.
Yeah.
But that's not why we're here. If you like videos like this, please make sure to give us a thumbs up and let us know what you love about our video. So today we are talking about our marriage. It's been 5 years, guys. A lot of you guys have been here since day 1. 5.5, that's true. A lot of you guys have been here since day 1, and I want to say thank you to all those who've kind of seen us through our growth and our journey from dating to being engaged, married, having a kid. It's been a long road. But we are going to talk about what 5 years of marriage has looked like for us, what we've learned, and yeah, how we're doing. Like,
no, you just keep like opening the door to me. But what are we talking about? Let's go. All right.
Okay, so I wrote down a few.
Yeah, she has all the notes, so I don't know.
I wrote down a few questions that kind of popped in my head, but we're still gonna try to just freestyle it and be organic with it. But I did write down prompts to help us get some conversation going.
Sure.
So we're gonna start with something as simple as your favorite wedding day memory. Should probably give me a prompt.
I was going to say, that's why don't you start?
Yeah,
I have 0 notes coming into this. This is just everything I was told to sit down and talk.
I have to think about that as well. My favorite wedding day memory. Ooh, that was a good one. It's a picture of us dancing our first dance. It's just like behind the camera. It's gonna sound weird, but it's probably the limo ride back to the reception when I was changed out of my dress into the reception dress in the limo, and it was just like him and I, and he was like helping me. It just felt like we were finally like being us in that moment, and I didn't give a damn about everybody else.
Well, that was when you reached your kind of point, right? Of kind of like, because we did a lot of the work ourselves. Like, we had people helping us, don't get us wrong, but we had done a bunch of it ourselves, and a lot of things were going wrong that day. And I think that it was the limo ride for you when you finally kind of let things go. Yeah. Right? So that was, I reached that point a little bit before, and so it's just a weight of the world off your shoulders kind of thing. And so, yeah, so no, I believe that. Sorry, did you want to keep going?
No, that's just all. It was just, taking off my wedding dress, putting on my reception gown, because I knew it was time to party and be free and be with my new husband. So that's my favorite memory.
I think mine was at the ceremony. I think for sure is just like, I remember just standing there. Actually, parts of it, and this is just kind of a funny one, was the pen. Not having the pen. That one just stands out in part of this, and I'll get to that in a second. But just where we were, we got married on the water, and
we weren't standing on the water. No. We're not Jesus.
Okay, well, sure. Anyway, so pardon me, I was standing, kind of looking at Wendy, and I had the water on my right and the guests on my left, and just I remember just kind of a moment. I think it was at the end of the ceremony piece, where I just kind of took a moment to kind of take it all in, and I was looking at you, and I took a look to everybody out there, and I just remember looking back at the water as well, and just seeing, it was a perfect day. So it was just like kind of encompassing, everything that was just kind of there to celebrate, and it was a cool moment. I really loved her spot. Like, honestly, like, that was an amazing find to get married where we did. It was a little more expensive, obviously, than just getting married at a church or whatever. But oh my goodness, it was so worth it, and I don't even think, for me, not even comparable to like any other outdoor venue or anything, right? Like, there are people that get married in lovely outdoor places, but like for me, I don't know why, water is just a really awesome thing, and I loved it, and yes, it was just a really just wonderful start to our marriage.
I can co-sign that. The water backdrop was breathtakingly beautiful.
You never want to swim in it.
No.
But that's okay.
But it's a beautiful background. What was your worst wedding day memory?
I don't know if I could pick one. It was all the things that went wrong.
But no, my wedding day was not perfect.
So actually, so just in that moment, and this was just before, so after you do the kind of regular part of the ceremony, and then you go sign the marriage certificate and all that. We didn't have a pen on the table. It was just one of the many oversights that happened.
In fairness, this was an oversight because we were already legally married 2 days before in the courthouse, because the person who did our ceremony was my uncle, who's an American pastor, so he couldn't legally marry us here in Canada.
Technically inefficient here.
So exactly, it's inefficient. So therefore, like, all our signed documents were just kind of photocopied fakes because I'd already done the real stuff. So we didn't think to have a pen because we didn't think about truly signing a document.
Well, somebody did because they photocopied the thing. So
Yeah.
it's like, it was an oversight.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my dad always has pens. Like he always has
He's an old-fashioned man.
Shirt pockets. The front shirt pocket always has at least 4 pens in there.
And there always the pens with a little clip, so they all clip out of his pocket.
And so it was just, so we realized we didn't have a pen. I was like, Dad, toss me a pen. He's like, nope. What? I go, of all the days not to have a pen, come on. So it was just kind of funny. But then somebody else, Wemi's uncle, ended up tossing us a pen. So it was just pretty funny. But it was, that thing. It was our one of the people doing doing a reading. She got into a car accident on the way, and she was okay, but got into
and it was a rental car, and it wasn't in her name, so it was a whole issue.
All kinds of deal there. Our videographer got a flat tire
on the way to the ceremony.
Yeah, we didn't have spoons for some of the food that was served. We laid down a red carpet because it was movie themed, and then the tape that was used just ruined the floor and took us forever to get that up. Our videographers
missed our entrance into the reception. They were at McDonald's eating and missed our entire entrance.
Yeah. So nothing. All of those things. Nothing's. Nothing was like monumental or anything like that, right? But there was a list. Like we jokingly. Not jokingly, we seriously came up with the list kind of thing, and we were just like, good Lord.
Yeah, our DJ didn't have the song for his mom to dance with. He didn't have it on cue, so it was just awkward. Everyone's standing there waiting as he goes online to download it. And he downloaded a copy that wasn't like the pure copy. It was just, it was a disaster.
Yeah, so the list went on. So that was probably my, it wasn't a single thing. It was just a calamity of errors that happened.
My worst wedding day memory is probably the night of, like, before our wedding kind of thing. Like, we're getting married in the morning, so it was just that night into the morning. That night, me and all my bridesmaids, like, just got into it. So we had to have, like, a sit, because no one was talking to anyone by the time, like, our traditional was over. We were all, like, silent treating each other. So at, like, 1 a.m., someone was like, okay, we can't go into tomorrow like this. Let's all sit down and air out our grievances and fix this situation. So we were up till like 3 or 4 in the morning airing out grievances, and I was getting married in like 4 hours. And then to make it worse, go to sleep finally at like 5 a.m. my mom knocks on our door. She wants to come in, and she comes in, and then she yells at me because we had got into something the night before that I had brought Dave into. So she came into my room on like my wedding morning, and she just let me have it. And I was like,
because I yelled at her, and then
and then she brought it back to me. And I'm like, I might have texted like, can we just cancel this? Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm good. I was very ready to cancel the day. That's how much I was like, we're already married, so like we can just not show up and it would be okay. We're still married.
Everybody was on edge, though.
Yeah, it was a very edgy.
As I'm sure most people, many people's marriages are, like, just, there's a lot of stress with it.
Yeah. So I'd say that was my worst, was fighting with my mom and all my bridesmaids, right before I got married.
But then you made up.
Then we made up, and it was
Everything
okay.
was good.
Yep. Okay, so now it's the actual marriage stuff. So I have here, what do you know now that you didn't know then?
Lots of stuff.
I know. Let's have it.
Again, like, you're just hitting me with questions and just expecting to answer it, like, on the spot, like, as if it was like, what's 5 plus 3?
What is 5 plus 3?
8.
Okay, good.
I can answer things like that on the spot. I think, well, actually, you know what, so one of the things, so can I use, like, things that we learned leading into our marriage? Like, so a lot of the things that I learned in, like, those books, for example.
Okay.
I think that's one for me. It's like, we read...
Pause. Insert ad here. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, we read a bunch of books for premarital counseling, and we've done videos on them, I believe, way back when. So look into our archives. I will link them down below. We've done videos on all these great books we read. Go on.
Yes. So I'm not a big reader, but I did commit to reading these 4 books, and they're great. There's From Foreign to Familiar, Love and Respect, Marriage Before Money, and 5 Love Languages. And all of them, honestly, they have kind of had really core understandings and learnings that I've taken away from one of the big ones from Love and Respect is the crazy cycle, and just acknowledging its existence and being aware of it is something that is tremendously helpful for when we're fighting.
Yeah, we do fight. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
So-
as well as the from foreign to familiar, just that understanding of us being different culturally has made it understandable. And one of the things is actually just even my vocabulary used to be when we would say that she does something one way or her family does something one way, and I would just say, that's funny. And very early on, she was just like, it's not funny, it's just different. And it's something
he says like, it's funny, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's not weird, it's just different from what you do.
And exactly, and I never meant it in a negative way, but it was still just anything different from me. I said those things, and it was like, that's not right. And so that was, just being maturing on things like that, and then understanding those differences so that they make sense, and so that you can apply them in your own life to adapt and to kind of grow together and compromise and all that. And 5 love languages as well. Just knowing how to kind of better kind of respect and love your partner, but also it helps in those times when they may not be loving you as much in the hard times.
Who, me?
Yes. It just helps you understand the way to communicate to them, right? So knowing my own love language has helped me tell Wemi to, hey, try to do these things or try not to do that, because that is, without really realizing it before, that is adding more burden than kind of intended.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me, it's like simple things that like Wemi's not choosing to be like mean or anything, but the lack of, like we were talking about this the other night, the lack of just saying thank you for doing the dishes, because I hate doing the dishes. It's kind of,
it goes a long way for him, whereas
way.
Like for someone else it might be like, all right, cool, you said thank you, and they move on.
Right.
Versus for him,
Right.
it does.
It's actually meaningful.
Yeah.
So there's just things like that you learn. So those principles have definitely stuck with me 5 years later.
For me, what I know now that I didn't know then, I'd say one thing was, it's almost like having a kid. Until you have your own child, and whether that's like, biologically or adopted, whatever, but until you have a child that you feel is your own, there are certain feelings that I feel like you don't understand. And one of those for me is like in our marriage, I've come to love Dave in a way that I didn't think I could, didn't think was possible, didn't truly even know existed until 5 years later, kind of thing. Like the day, and I was just telling him that I was like, babe, we should renew our vows at some point in the future, because it's just so different. Like the love I have for you now is just so different than what it was on the day that I, said I do and said those things. I mean them in a very different way now than I did then. So for me, one thing I know now is that like you can truly love someone beyond yourself, even when you don't like them, if that makes sense. So like Dave, for example, is someone that like I say like I'm very blessed to have him because I truly like him.
Kinda love him, but I really, really, really like him.
I really like him. And I really love him. And you don't always get those two things together in a partnership. There are very few things that Dave can do like I don't like this guy. It's like I can't even think of any of those things right now. It might be like he'll be like your bad habits. Like I don't like his bad habits, but I'm able to look past them, that like I still like him, I still love him. One of those is like kind of like the same thing I feel with like a liar. Like I can look at my son like, man, I love you. Even when you piss me off and I want to just like shake you because you're so annoying sometimes, I love you more than you even know. Perfect. And that's how I feel with like Dave, is like there's times when I can just, like he's just walking around, I'll just stare at him like a creep, because he always calls me a creep because I'll just stare at him. He's like, stop staring at me. Like, no, it's because like I'm getting my mind to wrap around like I really love this guy, like I really like this guy. I'm so blessed to have a life with this person that I didn't think was going to be this. Like when I said I do, I just assumed like, yeah, we'll be married, we'll have a happy married life, and whatever. But now it just has a different meaning to it than it did back then. So that's something I said no, now I didn't know then, was like just the ability to truly love and give yourself to your partner.
Yep. Cool. Good answer.
Thanks, Dave.
Were you gonna wear that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was cleaning out the box. Anyway, focus.
Okay. Sorry.
What has changed?
In 5 years?
Yeah.
I got a beard.
He does have a beard.
Yeah.
I'm fully natural. I was not fully natural when we got married.
There you go. Yeah, you were.
No, I was transitioning.
When we got married?
I was transitioning.
When you said I do?
Yes, I was not fully natural. I cut you. I had you help me cut it right after our wedding. I was like, all right, cut all these protons off.
Yeah. I knew it was very close, but anyway.
Yeah. Because I needed the length to do my wedding hairstyle. I needed the length of like the permed ends and stuff, so I didn't want to cut it before we got married.
Okay, all right. I believe it. So what was the question? What's different?
Yeah, what has changed?
Yeah. I think actually one of the things I think that's changed that is like this is just life that happens to be around our marriage time, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, we take on new responsibilities, we grow in life, we change, we have different responsibilities and things like that, right? And I think one of the things we had talked about very early on was about complacency and not, you know, and it's like, it's interesting those, you know, we'll talk about things that we used to do, and I think this kind of goes to your love comment of just being different. What love meant 5 years ago compared to what love means now is a lot different. One of the examples is, you know, just texting the, you know, just compliments, or those 60, what did we get up to, 64 or 86 or something? We might have passed 100 actually.
I thought you passed 100.
So just different compliments, and I literally try to never reuse a compliment twice with Wemi. And then
you used to like text them to me, so I had records of them. So like at a point you went through and like we printed it all out on like a.
I did.
You did.
That was a gift.
Printed it out on like a large, you know, not
Bristol
even like,
like,
essentially of all the compliments he had ever given me.
Yeah. Enumerated, and so admittedly those have slowed down.
Those don't exist.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
They've just slowed down to a stop, but they've slowed down
to a screeching halt.
But anyway, but it's not because I don't feel those anymore. It's that we now do these things that are just so much deeper. You know what I mean? Like those, you know, not that I didn't mean them, but they were very superficial comments, and it was about the creativity of not being the same. You know what I mean? As opposed to the meaningful things that apply every day. So I think, you know, things like that are different. You know, like honestly, like when we lay down at night and she when has a tendency of laying her head on my chest, and maybe we'll watch a movie or a show or something, and she'll fall asleep. And honestly, it's one of it is probably the best part of our marriage today, is knowing that happens. Like,
knowing that I can't sit through a movie or a show if I lay with you.
But it's because you're so, you know, secure and safe, and you know, you feel protected, and it's an awesome feeling, and you know, it's like, ask me that 5 years ago and that wouldn't have been, you know, my favorite. You probably didn't fall asleep the same, you know what I mean? And so it's like that growth has turned into things that make the regular more meaningful. If that makes sense.
Yeah, he makes a good point there. With something like that, like, yeah, I can lay with my husband, and if I put my head, like, you know, lay up on his chest or whatever, I fall asleep within a few minutes. That's something that I had never truly experienced before. You know, without going too much into the past, it was more just like, for me in the past with like exes and stuff, I never fell asleep in the presence of another person, another man, and it was because like I just didn't feel secure, and I knew that. Whether it's because like I knew they were up to no good or whatever, I just wasn't secure. But in our marriage, I have found this new level of security in our existence together, that speaks to what he's saying. But anyways, for me, what has changed, I'd say we are. The one thing I can think of right now is the fact, I don't know if it really changed much, but I think it might have, is that we enjoy each other's company, I think, a lot more than we did then.
You didn't like hanging out with me
then? I did, but I feel like now, like I could just hang out with Dave and I'm good. People take that personal, they can't.
Just teasing you.
No, I couldn't then, Dave. But it wasn't that I couldn't, it was just different. It was different, like.
And I'm just trying to get you to explain it.
Okay. So then, like, before we got married, I enjoyed being with Dave. I enjoyed doing things with Dave. But it's now come to a place where I don't like, I want our experiences to be shared. That's more what I think
Right.
it is. I want our experiences to be shared. I want him to be part of the things that I do. I want to be part of the things that he does. Yes, we still have things we do separately, but it's like, if I had my choice, he would be a part of my experiences and I'd be a part of his, because to me it's like we're one, so it's just easier. It's like when you like think back to like when you were in high school, and it's nice to have those friends from high school that you can share memories with because you guys were in it together. It's different versus a friend you meet in college. You can't really share, like, you can tell them about your high school experiences, but they don't get it the same because they weren't with you. So it's kind of like that, I feel like, with us. And the fact that has changed significantly, in that before it was like, it was cool if he was there, versus now 10 times better if he's there, if we're sharing things together. What else has changed, I would say, is our tolerance, I think, has changed in terms of like the way we communicate things that are different. I think that has changed for us. Like, we don't, so like, you know, kind of we talked about like being a mind reader, for example. Like, okay. I can't read his mind, he can't read my mind, which a lot of us do that just in friendships, relationships, families. Everyone thinks everyone can read their mind. Unstated expectations. Correct. It's in love and respect. It is in love and respect. So I think that's something that has changed, is we have become better at sharing our expectations with each other. I'm not saying we're perfect, we're still working on it, I think. But we have become more aware of the fact that sometimes we expect things of each other that we don't know because we've never said them. We've never explicitly drawn attention to them. And I think just sharing that has helped us a lot in our marriage. Sure. Were you gonna say something?
No, I just agree.
Okay. Hardest part of being married. So money?
Yeah. Let's be honest. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fine. And yeah, like we read one of the money books, The Money Before Marriage, and it identified real things. Like it was how you value money differently was something that we were able to identify in that book. Was like, he thinks of money a different way than I do, which a lot of people do. Like, totally. And that wasn't a bad thing. That wasn't a negative. Like it was an exposure to what's real. Yeah, and I think in the book they mentioned that like most couples do have polar opposites in terms of finances. Not all, but we're saying most couples do, because then that way, like if someone's a penny pincher and someone's a spender, they come together. If you're compromising, right, you end up at a place where you are spending responsibly without being a penny pincher. Versus if two penny pinchers end up together, two penny pinchers who just never do anything with their lives, because everything they do is just, let's keep our money in our pockets. So they'll never go anywhere, they'll never experience anything, because they're both the exact same, the same way. Which is also still fine. Yeah. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with either one, really. Yeah. But yeah, so I think for us, it's also been an acknowledgement of our openness or comfort with talking about money very early on. It was super uncomfortable for 2 years. I would say were brutally painful to talk about money together. I'd say year 3, we kind of started like finding new ways to deal with it. And I'd probably say only like really like end of our 4th year was when we really like, I think, have now found our sweet spot. Yeah, like it's for me, it's like when you look back at the whole trajectory of our marriage, that's one thing that we haven't found. Oh, this is what works. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I still like, even we could say what we have now works, but we just started that, so seems to be going well so far, but I'm not sure we can really call that a victory and say that it works. Whereas every other aspect of our lives, like cleaning, for example, we have modified them here and there, modified the chores and the duties a little bit, but in general, they're pretty much what they were since day one. They haven't been a fluctuating, try this, try that, try something else. It's been this, try that, this, try that kind of thing. Whereas money is try that, try this. Let's maybe over here. But so that's where I think that's the kind of hardest part of marriage. Yeah. Okay. Hardest part of our marriage, not general. Sure. Okay. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. Our marriage. This is all. We don't talk about ourselves. We don't know anybody else. I don't want to forecast or. Hardest part of marriage, and for our marriage, for me, is probably learning to communicate in a loving way, if that makes sense. Sure. So what that means for me is things like, when you're fighting, not giving the silent treatment, which is a very easy go-to place, is to just like, I'm just not going to talk to you. I'm good.
But that's not healthy.
Depends if you're fight or flight.
Correct. I'm a flight.
You're a flight. Yeah.
I'm a flighter for sure. I'm a fight if it's with someone that I don't know or love. If I love you, I'm a flighter. I'm just like, which seems weird, right? But I don't like fighting people that I love. I prefer to just be, let's just be good. So with that, for me, it has been learning to fight and fight well. So that
Fight dirty.
no, don't fight dirty. Yeah, so for me, what that looks like for me is communicating, you know, what I'm upset about at the right time, even when I don't want to, because it's like, for me, it is actually very hard and anxiety inducing for me to have to communicate my true like feelings, because I can easily communicate this like, yeah, I'm mad at you. Okay, why are you mad? What made you so mad? And that's where I shut down. So I think it's been learning to communicate that in a way that's healthy. Like, we've never been ones who like slam doors, and we've never been that way towards each other. And like, even when we're, you know, in the thick of things, we're still are very intentional with what we say and how we say it. So it's, for me, I think it's been working through that. That's probably been the hardest part.
We've still had some pretty epic.
We have had some epic fights, but they're still like, I don't think we fight dirty. That's all I mean. Like, we don't fight dirty.
I don't think we fight dirty, but we have crossed lines.
We have crossed lines,
and we
haven't hit each other.
No,
don't do that.
No, that's fair.
That's not what we mean by crossing lines.
No, it's more about things that and this is partially on unstated expectations. I'll give you a perfect example. One of them with Wemi is swearing. If I swear at her, that's one of her lines. I did that once, and it was more, I don't exactly have the cleanest mouth all the time, and so
he's working on it.
And to be honest, like I don't think I have sworn at you since the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, once I know, like, that's why it was an unstated expectation a little bit, and then there were kind of even adjustments around that, because it was even swearing in a situation that wasn't directed at you, but kind of you were in the context kind of thing. Even that was like, that was dancing a little too close to the line. So, I very much like don't ever want to swear. I don't ever want to swear in general, but especially when we're fighting in any sort of way or arguing. And so I think those are things that we've had to learn. There are things that you've done that absolutely, like, they've been a really like that. Mm-hmm. That should never even be an option kind of thing. And so once we address them, but it's important to, it's kind of one of those ones where it's like, well, what if we weren't we weren't able to make up from that? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it's kind of an awkward one to be like, okay, we're about to get married. What's your worst thing that you could do in a fight? You know what I mean? It's like, or what lines do you have that I shouldn't cross? And it's kind of a hard one to even acknowledge, because I don't think most people know them until they get there. Yeah,
people will address big things like, don't hit me. Like, people tend to address those obvious things, but people don't necessarily address how they fight when it's bad. Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of couples, people fight before they get married, but I think the fight often changes after you're married.
Yeah, well, because
I think it's just natural, because you're just with this person now all the time.
It's a deeper relationship. It's just it's all the highs are higher and all the lows can be lower, right? And that's all it is, in my opinion. And it's the same with kids, right? Like, mm-hmm. they bring you, and don't get me wrong, it's not like a 50-50. It's not like you were like just doing this and now the spectrum just gets wider. It skews positive, or hopefully it does for us. It does, absolutely, and same with kids. But every now and then, when you get that low, it's a pretty low. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're gonna leave that there. This video has been quite long. We're gonna pause that there and continue to part 2. But I'm gonna say thank you so much for watching so far and hanging with us and learning more about who we are, since we're not here all the time anymore. So I want to say thank you for that. If you've liked this video, please hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, let us know what you like, what you agree with, and I would like to know, for those who are married out there, what has been the hardest part of marriage for you? I would love to hear that. And if you're not married, what do you anticipate being a hard part of marriage for you specifically when you do cross that line, or when you not cross that line?
Bye.
When you do get there. All right, thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.